Surprisingly, one of my most popular videos was using this little guy. This is the Naniwa angle guide that you can slip onto the spine of your knife, and it'll create a consistent angle for you to sharpen it without having to hold it. I haven't used this thing in ages. I actually only used it the one time. I think I'm going to give it a shot with this particular kitchen knife, just for giggles. When I made that first video showing it off, I had no idea it was going to be as popular as it's become. Had I known, I would have done a little more to make it interesting and shorter. There we go. That's going to produce the angle for us to sharpen it. Tonight I'm going to use a series of Suehiro stones. This is the Suehiro Chemical 320. I'm going to use the 700, the 1K, and the 6K. From there we'll strop it just on white compound. Now the first time I used this angle guide, I wasn't sure how well it would hold up to putting pressure on it. So I went real timid and just back and forth motions like this with very light pressure. Since I've gotten that experience with it, I know that you can actually put pressure down and grind on the knife without fear of this thing slipping off. So this will go a little quicker than it did the first time. So I've cut the edge off. No idea what angle this is going to be at. It's looking close to 20 degrees or so. We're going to get started. The idea is to obviously keep the angle guide on the knife at all times. But if you have to come off the stone, you know, you can just go freehand with it. Not a big deal. You do have to raise your hand to get to the tip. Not a difficult maneuver to make. I am coming off the stone a little bit, but it's not a problem. So I started on the 320, but things were going pretty slow. I'm going to have to reprofile this bevel, and that 320 just doesn't have a whole lot of aggressive cutting speed. So I'm switching over to the Norton 220 just to get that initial bevel cut in, and then we'll come back to it. Now this 220 sheds grit quite readily, which is both a pro and a con. The pro is the constant shedding of the grit creates a fresh abrasive underneath. The con of it is the stone wears quick. There's a lot of the coarse stones, 220 and lower. That's one of the trade-offs you have to go with, is a fast shedding stone that's also fast cutting, or a slow wearing stone that's slow cutting. I'm almost to the bevel, or I'm sorry, I'm almost to the apex. Still need a little work in the tip, a little work in the base, and right smack in the middle. Now I've got a sharpening pond here. You may be wondering why I'm not flushing the stone or the knife in the pond. I don't want this 220 grit getting all over the place. Grit contamination is inevitable with these, but I'd like to minimize it a little bit if I can. And rinsing the knife off in the sink helps me do that. Alright, so I got the base good. Just need to form a burr from this point forward. Something's not sitting right. Alright, I haven't quite reached the apex. I'm going to go ahead and switch sides. Get that side going. Since I've got an angle guide, it's not really sweating how I hold the knife against the stone. The guide is going to keep my knife where I need it to be. This bevel side looks to be quite large compared to this one. I've already got a burr formed at the base. That's what I was afraid of, so I wanted to switch sides, see how bad off the main grind was, and it's pretty bad. We'll make it work. Consistency is the key, and this angle guide provides that. The tip on both sides is pretty roughed up. See if I can get that now fixed. I think that's about as good as it's going to get for that tip. I still got to breach the apex on this side. I got a little more grinding to do right in here. Now I got a burr across the whole edge, flipped it on both sides, so we're ready to switch back to the 320 stone. Now that we got the main profile of the knife set, it's just a matter of removing the scratches. This knife would do well with some thinning. It's gotten quite thick. Alrighty, we are done with the 320. So if any of you guys are pros at using these angle guides, you'll have to forgive me. This is only my second time ever using it. I'm not familiar with it at all. The last time I used it was probably about a year ago. So this is the Suehiro Cerax 700 grit. Again, we're just going to remove the scratches from the 320 stone. Let me scoot you guys a little closer. And this is my favorite stone in the Suehiro lineup. I don't know why, but I just love it. Got a burr everywhere except right at the tip. All right, there we go. Now this stone will form a mud if you allow it to, which is starting to get a little buildup, trying to do just that. Alright, once again, we're all done. My 1K, 6K Suehiro Cerax stone is a combo, and it comes with its own little base here, so that's what I'm going to use to hold the stone with. Now this stone's a little bit smaller than the rest, so forgive me if I fall off of it. I'll try to just stay right in the middle of the stone, although that'll make it wear quicker just for one knife. It's not going to be the end of the world. And these bevel sizes are quite different in size. You guys will see it when I bring you down for some close-ups. Looking at this kitchen set, it's called KitchenAid. Looking at this online, it came with a wooden butcher block to keep all the knives in, and also a 600 grit diamond rod for sharpening. Now my buddy gave me this set to sharpen for him, but he didn't give me the diamond rod. Would have been nice to play with that. It's like we're all done with the 1K. Well, almost. Now we're all done with the 1K. I'm going to flip this over and get started on the 6. This is the final stone. Let me get this stuff out of the way and I'll bring you guys down and show you what the bevel looks like before we strop. So this is the side that I said was going to be much larger. Looks like I could have did a little more work at that tip. That was giving me problems. And this side is going to be much more narrow. I'm not sure if the blade is bent or if that's just how it's ground. I'll check that straightness here in just a second. looks pretty straight. So it's going to be how it was ground. It's like this side is thicker than this side. So they took more material off from this side than they did this side. Not a big deal. It's just a kitchen knife. No, a budget kitchen knife at that. And I'll show you guys where the edge is before we strop. That's probably sharper than 99% of the kitchen knives out in America's homes today. This is a DLT double-sided strop with it's got very thin leather. Got this side loaded with CBN Emulsion 2 micron, and this side is loaded with just white compound. So we're going to start on the CBN side. That's way more stropping than I normally do. But I am trying to see how well this stuff polishes. And so far, I'm not impressed. So I still got a haziness to the bevel. I'm not sure how well this will show up for you guys. There is some luster, but it's still got a haziness to it. I'm going to hit it on the white compound now. So I only stropped one side with the white compound. I want to see if there's a difference in the polish. So this is the CBN only side. And you can see that haziness here. And this is the side that was hit with CBN and white compound. It's still got some haziness too. So I think both of these are not quite enough to get all the scratches out from those Suehiro stones. And those Suehiro stones do not polish very well. They give you a hazy, I think they call it kasumi. They give you a hazy kasumi-like finish. And that's exactly what we got. So to make all things equal, just go ahead and finish up this side on the white compound as well. I didn't realize how far off camera I was for my stropping and cut testing. So we're going to do another run at that. There's bark in that. That paper's got bark in it. That's my excuse. Anyway, I think you guys get the picture. Give you guys one final shot of this bevel. Looks like I got a little jaggedness going on the edge there, but it's probably where I was cutting the paper. It's a nice edge. Would I recommend one of these angle guides? If you're new to sharpening and waterstones, absolutely. If you're just starting out, sure. One thing I would warn you about though is these things will scratch your knife, so take precautions like I did by taping the knife up. They will scratch your knife, and although they leave a consistent angle, if your knife is not ground properly, one bevel may appear larger than the other. And in certain areas, depending on the length of the knife and the width, they may not be the same angle. So this may be set 20 degrees, this might be 15, and this 20 degrees. So keep that in mind also. It's all geometry. It's the width of the spine towards the cutting edge, and all that nonsense that I have no clue about. Anyway, guys, would I recommend it? Sure. They're cheap, they work. You just got to get used to them like anything else. Once you get used to it and you learn that muscle memory, I would say start removing it and try your hand at freehanding. It's not difficult, and this is a nice little starter kit to get you going. If you guys have any questions or comments, as always, leave them below. I appreciate you watching. Have a good one.